Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Dragonheir SilentGods video. In today's video, I want to talk about all of the epic artifacts and kind of do a little bit of a short, maybe long review when it comes to those artifacts because, well, in this game, the artifacts are extremely important because they kind of are, you know, the items, I guess, that take your builds to the next level, and sometimes having the right artifact on the right hero can take you a long way, and they can be extremely important. So it's really valuable to understand what artifacts you want to get, which ones to invest on, and so on and so forth, because you know what, you might not be getting all of the imprint stones to get all of the epic artifacts, because in order to get the imprint stone number 2, you basically have to pull a dupe of an epic. Okay, so if you're somebody that's free to play, you might not be able to get all of them, but at least you might be getting some of them. So that's where I'm gonna try and help you guys decide which are actually gonna be the ones that are worth going for and what not. And if you're gonna listen to what I'm gonna say here, you're gonna understand if that one will apply to your team or not, to, you know, your heroes, to your team synergy, because it's also going to depend on what type of heroes you will have. You know, are you gonna have frost, are you gonna have poison, wild, dauntless, support heroes? It doesn't matter. Understanding the artifacts, using the right ones on the right people is really, you know, important, especially because, well, like I said, you don't want to buy the wrong ones and you don't want to invest in the wrong ones, as at the same time upgrading them requires essence of creation, and early on, while you start to progress, you don't get a ton. You're gonna get more as the season goes through, but at the end of the day, you're gonna always try to invest it as smart as you can. But enough of me talking about that. There's quite a few to go, so I'm gonna try and keep this one as short as possible. And the way that I'm gonna start it is I'm actually gonna start with the number one most important, or the best artifact, the best epic artifact in my opinion, and that is going to be the Crown of the Unclean. The reason why this one is so good is because it's the only way, at least so far, by, you know, I'm talking in October 2023, it's the only way in the game to have a defense penalty, aka decreased defense debuff. There's this one and there's the legendary version as well. So that's why this one's so good, because when you're talking about especially single target boss fights, such as, you know, the Clan Boss, the Temporal Vortex, Grave of Venom, Grave of Curse, Rot, Ancient Battlefield, any other area where you need to try and kill the boss as fast as possible, well, the decreased defense is gonna come in handy. So this one basically gives the wearer, when they use the ultimate, this is something that you need to keep in mind, it's a key thing here. When they use their ultimate to deal damage to enemies, it has, when fully, you know, fully upgraded, 75% chance of inflicting defense penalty on the targets. Okay, it says targets, but it's only one target, so keep that in mind. If you have several targets, the epic version will only land on one. One thing that also is interesting is if you have somebody that has multi-hits on their ultimate, it has several chances to proc. So if you don't land it on the first one, maybe you land it on the second, and so on. And it's also really good because it gives you defense and accuracy. And obviously, in order to land debuffs, you're going to need accuracy, including for the artifacts, okay? You might be playing Raid Shadow Legends, and you might be thinking, well, sets do not require accuracy to land. This is not the case, okay? In here, you need accuracy to land defense penalty. So heroes that can benefit from this one can be somebody like a Horus, somebody like a Frurbaf, which are like tanks, for example, because you're gonna need a defense, you're gonna need the accuracy, or any other debuffer that you might be using. I don't know, people like Sigrid, people like Dane, Yola, like anybody that already requires accuracy in their kit in order to work. This one's gonna benefit it even more because, like I said, you get the accuracy boost and then you also get the defense penalty, which is amazing. So number one artifact when it comes to the epic ones, Crown of the Unclean. That's in my opinion. Now, if you go from the top, the first 6 ones are the last ones that you want to buy, in my opinion, because they're not perfect. They're a little bit too niche, and I would definitely advise against buying them unless you know you're already maxed out and you might be needing an artifact that gives you a little bit of accuracy boost, okay? Well, that's when this one you buy. That's when you would buy something like this. And the reason why I'm saying that is because all 6 of these ones are specific to a element. So, for example, the flame one, it has when the wearer is a fire element, so it has to be fire, it increases their success rate of inflicting buffs or debuffs using the ultimate skill by up to 20%. That's not going to be a lot. Most people have their ultimates being booked to have a 100% chance of landing those debuffs, unless there's like some niche situations where that one does not go up. That's where that one can come in handy. But overall, these are not as good. The one that I can think of is Pargu, if I'm not mistaken, his Necrosis. He has even when booked, he has like a 60 or 70% chance to land them. So maybe on somebody like him, you're gonna use it. But again, make sure you buy the right one, because this one has to be from the right element. So keep that in mind. Now we're moving over to the new ones, which I didn't buy these ones yet, but I might buy them in the future. And we have the Antinia's Tiara. So this one gives defense and enlightenment, and the wearer grants more just a percentage of shields. This one's obviously gonna be good for somebody that gives shield. So if you have people that give shield based off of enlightenment, that's gonna be even better, because you're gonna get a boost of enlightenment. Or if not, maybe when you're building your adventurer, because their ultimate gives a shield based off of his attack, you do not get the stats bonus, but you get at least the stats from here, you know, the extra shield. So this one's pretty straightforward shielders. Now the effigy or effigy, however you call it, of divine ears gives defense and attack percent. It's not the best combination of stats. The wearer gains 10% ultimate energy after killing an enemy. This effect triggers once every up to 2 seconds, okay? So this one's pretty niche, because there's very few areas where you actually kill stuff and you need to come back to your ultimate energy. And as an example, this one could be good on people that you would use to farm the goblins. So if you have somebody that's a melee unit, such as Usha, such as Martina, they're going to get the attack percent, but they're also going to get a little bit of defense. That's going to help them tank, you know, the hits. And getting more ultimate energy means they're going to come, obviously, faster their ultimate and do more damage. So that's what I recommend that one for. Now, the Manticore statue, this is one of my favorite ones, because it gives you attack and attack percentage stats. And then when it comes to the effect, the wearer's battle skill gains up to 20% damage. So as an example, the best person to use this one on is going to be the adventurer as Ice, okay? Because what the adventurer as Ice does is he does shields based off of his attack as the ultimate skill, but then he hits on the battle skill. And if you give him this one, well, it's going to benefit his shields, but he's also going to be able to do some decent damage. So keep in mind when it comes to Manticore statue for somebody like that. If not, you know, anybody else that hits with their battle skill and can do some good damage, just use that one on. But I want to mention one other thing, like, you know, even though if you don't have somebody that this part perfectly benefits them, just try to think about who you're using. If they're going to benefit even from the stats over here, from the extra attack, just use it on them, because, you know, these stats are massive. I think when you max this one out, it gives you 30 extra attack percent. Let me just double check, because I have it over here. Oh no, even more. So when it's maxed, you gain an extra 45% attack, and then obviously another 250 flat attack. So that's a lot of attack that you can use on one of your nukers. It doesn't have to be somebody that does it with a battle skill, like I said, but you know, it's the stats. Keep that in mind for every single one that I'm going to be talking about. Even though what it does, the benefit, you know, what's it called? I have no idea how to call this. The effect, I guess. The effect that they bring, even if it's not the best, keep in mind it can still be good for the stats if you already have all the best ones put on your best people yet. So next one's going to be the Harpy's Nail. This one's pretty straightforward. Again, attack and attack percent, then the wearer's passive skill gains bonus damage. So this one's usually be good for obviously people that have bonus damage on their passive. So there's for example, people like Ivelios, that's a legendary that has a passive that deals damage. Then there's Filto that has a passive that he does splash damage. Then there's Arlo again, that every time he does a basic hit, he does a splash damage. So anybody that has a passive that deals damage can benefit from this one. Again, pretty straightforward. Next one, Eyeball of the Giant. This is another one of my favorite ones. It's pretty simple, straightforward, but it's awesome. And this one gives attack and attack percent, but the wearer's ultimate skill gains 20% damage boost. It does not sound like a lot, but it can be a ton. You know, paired with the attack that you get, this one you can just smack them down pretty easily. So this one's an amazing one. It should be one of the first ones that you actually buy. Then the Arcade Music Box, this one's actually my second favorite one, and it's not because of this one, okay, because maybe it's not as easy to proc the effect, which basically what this one does, it says that the wearer does more damage if they're under a shield, okay? You might not be able to keep the shield always up, you know, because it's gonna be taken down, you get hit, but what I like is the effect that the stats, it brings attack, but also brings crit rate. This one goes up to 30% extra crit rate, so if you use it as an example on somebody like a Tunnel Nun that already has 20% crit rate from his passive, plus the 30 from here, he's already at 50% crit rate, so you can just easily put crit damage gloves, stack a lot of crit damage from other areas, and this is amazing. This is obviously going to be good on somebody that deals damage and you want them to crit. So not people that do derivative damage, but people that will crit, you know, just do straight raw damage. So okay, music box, an amazing one. Then the Phoenix Feather gives attack and defense percent, another one of those quirky ones. The wearer will gain a percentage extra attack for 10 seconds when their HP is below 15%. This effect can only trigger going to be triggered once every 20 seconds. Honestly, I have no idea where this one can be useful, because most of the time, once you get that low, you're going to keep going lower and lower. Maybe it can have a use into Portal Vortex, because you start losing more and more damage, and as you go more and more HP, and as you go through the fight, you gain more benefit. But I don't like the condition. Like the conditional ones, I'm not going to like, and I don't advise people buying this. This should not be on your priority list, so I cannot even think who to recommend on, because again, gives attack and defense percent. So you gain extra attack, but then what's the point of the extra defense percentage? It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe a Frurbath, but again, you have Frurbath, you might want to have the crown. So Phoenix Feather is not the best. Then Blood Prince's Bracelet heals the wearer by a certain percentage of their attack after killing an enemy. Gives attack and again HP percent. It's not the best combination. I guess this one can have a use again in some places like Goblin, or anywhere like, you know, that you might have wave-based content and you might have a melee DPS that you might benefit from having more HP, and then obviously they're going to heal more. But still, if you're going to want the DPS and you're going to want to heal based off of your attack, you would prefer to have attack percent here. So again, not one of the top ones, but if you don't have anything else, just use that one as well. Then Silver Star's Horseshoe gives attack and crit damage. Okay, this one starts good with the basic stats, okay? Attack, crit damage means you're going to get a ton more damage, but then the effect of it is not the best. Again, when the wearer launches a basic attack, has a 20% chance of obtaining up to 50% extra attack speed for 10 seconds. This effect can only be triggered once every 10 seconds. So this one would normally go on somebody that's dauntless, and benefits from dealing, you know, critical hits. As an example, Susa. Susa is a legendary that you can get from the Horn, and her kit has inbuilt crit rate, so this one might be good on her. She's gonna do a lot of basic attacks. Most of the dauntless people, their attacks count as basic attacks, so I guess that can be helpful for them, but this is never going to be at the top, okay? This is never going to be at the top. There's plenty of other ones that you would go for, like for example, like say Harpy's Nails and some other ones, but if you're going to need some extra ones when you want more damage, well, this can be helpful. Then moving over to the Arcana Cube, attack and HP percent. When the wearer launches a battle skill, they have a certain chance of obtaining 75 extra enlightenment. Enlightenment scales really good in this game for healing and even for some DPS stuff, but I don't like, again, the chance. It only has a certain chance, and it's only when they launch a battle skill. So this is not good enough. I'm not a big fan of this one, and I'm not sure I would advise people to use it. Maybe just use it for the stats again, and if you don't have anything else left and you might want that extra enlightenment, use it, but otherwise don't buy it. It's not the best one. Then Goblet of the Dragon Blood, another amazing one, gives you attack and attack speed, and then when the wearer launches an ultimate skill, it gets up to 100% chance of obtaining 20% extra crit rate for 10 seconds. This effect can only be triggered every 15 seconds. This one can be good again on people that benefit from attack speed, which the first ones that come in mind are dauntless people, or other people such as Usha. Okay, Usha benefits from gaining attack speed because her passive, she deals double damage every second basic attack, so having more attack speed and also giving them a chance to get more crit rate is going to be helpful. It's not going to be on all the time, but it can benefit her. You know, just build them with 80% crit rate and take advantage of this one, and this can be helpful. Also, getting attack and attack speed is not a base, you know, a bad base stat, so one of the good ones. Then the Ancestor's Candle gives HP and resistance as base stats, good ones together. When the wearer launches a battle skill, it reduces the recharge time of the battle skill by 10%. This one doesn't sound like a lot, but this one can be really helpful on people like, for example, Hexandra, okay? Hexandra is one of those rares that you're going to use in the end game, and one of our best spots in the game is going to be the Ancient Battlefield, okay? And one of the things that you want there is you want a target that has high resist, so you can basically block the stun that boss is gonna attempt. So having this one on Hexandra is gonna help because she's gonna get more HP to be more survivable. She's gonna get a resistance boost to be able to get that high number, and at the same time she heals on her battle skill and also cleanses, so you can come back to it pretty fast. So Hexandra is a pretty good option for that. If not, any other support that benefits from HP and maybe some resistance and does some good stuff on the battle skill. So Ancestor's Candle, it's a pretty good one. Then the next one, Spiritual Incense. I guess incense burner. I might be butchering some of these words, I'm sorry. But this one's kind of like the previous one, just this one boosts the ultimate skill and it gives you HP and accuracy. So obviously you would use this on somebody that has some sort of a debuff on their ultimate that's again maybe support or some sort of a DPS. So for example, for PvE content where you don't want maybe the craziest damage in the world, somebody like Ivoresh could be very really useful because he's gonna get some survivability, he's gonna get some accuracy, then he's gonna come back to his ultimate more often, which means more damage, more healing, and also a chance to place that block buff prohibition. So anybody that has a debuff on the ultimate would benefit from this one because you would want to come back to it as often as possible. Then the next one, Mirror of the Living. This one gives you defense and HP percent. The wearer heals when the wearer heals allies with HP below 40% is the max. The amount of healing is increased by 30%. Well, this one's pretty straightforward. You would want something like this to be on one of your healers in areas where maybe you're going to be getting low a lot of the time, so this is going to help. So as an example, one of your healers for the Grave of Venom, because your tank is going to be, you know, getting low because it takes a lot of hits, so this one can be good on a healer. It doesn't matter if it's their ultimate or battle skill, it influences all of their heals, so that's why this one's a really good one for healers. Then the Scarab Amulet gives you HP and defense percent. The wearer gains shield equal to a percentage of their defense for 10 seconds when their HP is below 30%. This effect can only be triggered once every 45 seconds. This one's a pretty quirky one, but I guess this is something that you might be using on one of your tanks again in areas such as like the Grave of Venom or maybe even in the arena, because you're going to be taking a lot of damage, especially if you're going to be the only tank. So every 45 seconds, which on 2x speed is going to obviously be is going to become around faster, you're going to be able to like protect yourself with more shields, but obviously try and have this on somebody has a ton of defense because the shield scales off of their defense. So again, somebody like Horus can be amazing like that because you might just give them a ton of defense and then they're gonna have the shield from their passive and then the shield from this one, if you don't care about their decrease attack and his provoke either. So not the best one, but can be useful. Platinum Knight Shield gives defense and HP percent, reduces the wearer's AoE damage taken by a certain percentage. This one's again really good for a tank or maybe one of your squishy supports if you're facing AoE content such as like the Temporal Vortex. You know, the boss has 3 AoE hits, so having your squishiest hero wear this is gonna allow them to stay alive more. So your healer maybe could benefit of this one, or even your tank, because the tank might be the same one that also takes a single target hit, so allowing them to survive more by taking less damage from the AoE hits could be useful. So this one's another of the decent one, not the best but pretty decent. Then Mask of the Lark, this one gives HP and defense percent, and for each buff the wearer has, the damage taken is reduced by up to 3%. The effect stacks up to 5 times. So if you have 5 buffs, you can reduce 15% of the damage. So again, this one can be good, kind of like the previous one, on anybody that's going to be a little bit squishier, if you know you're going to have some buffs, and at the same time, like obviously the preferred one would be a tank. So for example, if you have Horus, again, I'm just trying to mention the free-to-play ones, you know, everybody getting. If you're using Horus in the Grave of Venom, you don't care about his debuffs, you're just gonna make him tanky, giving him this and bringing some people that do any type of buffs, increased defense, continuous heals, his shield that he does from his passive, the recovery over time, damage reduction, those are all buffs that you can place on him, and by having that, he's gonna take a lot less damage, which means it's gonna be easier for him to tank the damage that the Grave of Venom boss is going to do on you. So keep that in mind, it's one of the pretty good ones. Then the Violent, it's another one of those good ones, but it's a little bit, you know, more specific. It gives you attack and attack percent, but the effect is as follows. The wearer's attack cannot trigger critical hits, but deal extra derivative damage. So again, this is mostly going to be useful, I mean, I guess only going to be useful on DPS heroes that do derivative damage. So do not use this, even though it gives you the good attack, do not use this on people that you're going to build with crit rate, because, well, they're not gonna be able to crit anymore. So that's not gonna help, you know. Not being able to crit is gonna be a little bit painful. So good examples for this one are Dauntless people. They have passives maybe that do more damage, derivative damage. Then maybe Poison people, again, they do more damage. And I think that's about it, because right now, oh yeah, there's also some Radiant heroes that can do splash damage, that is derivative damage. So keep this in mind for those type of heroes where basically you don't want them to crit, just have derivative damage. And then the last one, the Life Spindle, gives you defense and HP %. When the wearer heals an ally with the battle skill, there's a 50% chance of granting them an extra 12% is the max of their max HP as heal. The effect only trigger once every 5 seconds. This one's not the best one again, but if you have all the other good healing ones on every other one of your healers and you still need something else, this one can be helpful. It's only a 50-50, which is the part that I don't like. I wish this one was the upgraded one that can go up to like 100%, and this one, I don't know, just was a straight up 8% or something like that. So it's a bit of a quirky one, like I said, but I guess it can help because it gives you the good base stats. So yeah, this is gonna be it for the epic artifacts in Dragonheir SilentGods. I hope it gave you an idea of what to invest in. I hope you gave an idea of the heroes that you might put these ones on, because they can be really important on your heroes to be able to push the content up to the next level. If you guys want me to do the same thing for the legendary artifacts, which maybe not too many people are gonna get, just leave it in the comments below. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna make a video on these ones as well to try and tell you which is gonna be the best ones that you should invest in. Quick tip, just I want to throw this one at the end. The best and first one that you want to get is Witch's Remains, because it gives you defense penalty too. And this one's AoE, not single target. But yeah, anyway, this is gonna be it for the video today, guys. As always, if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel to see when I upload next, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, everyone. Bye, guys.